The galaxy had grown tired of war. For centuries, the alien empires had thrown fleets, armies, and treasures into the endless fight against the swarm known as the Karath. The swarm had no diplomacy, no language, and no pause. They devoured. They consumed. They grew. The Karath were insectoid creatures, millions upon millions of them directed by a hive mind that never slept. Planets fell like sparks into a black ocean. One after another, proud civilizations screamed for help, but the war only spread. The Galactic Council was desperate. These were the oldest and most powerful races of the Orion Arm. They ruled with wisdom, technology, and tradition. Yet none of them had been able to break the swarm. So at last, they sent out a signal across the stars. To every species still standing, the Council calls for soldiers. We do not ask for tribute. We do not ask for wealth. We ask for blood and strength. Together we may yet hold back the dark tide. Without you, all will fall. It was a message of pleading, not pride. Many races were broken already. Some sent token forces, ragged units too small to matter. Some ignored the call, hiding behind their fleets, hoping others would bleed in their place. And then, humanity answered. When the humans' reply came, the council chambers fell silent. Humanity was young. Barely 2 centuries had passed since they had entered the wider galactic community. They were not counted among the great empires. They did not control vast star clusters or ancient archives of knowledge. To many, Earth was still a curiosity, a death world species that had somehow survived its own violent homeworld and then reached the stars. So when the humans offered aid, most council members expected little. Perhaps they would send enthusiastic recruits, eager but untrained. Perhaps they would send ships too fragile to matter. Instead, the humans said only one thing. We are sending the executioners. The chamber stirred in confusion. The word carried weight even through translation, sharp and cold. It was not the name of an army, or at least not in the way other species named their forces. It was a promise. It was a threat. The counselors looked to one another uneasily. Executioners? Hissed Counselor Vithari of the Luthari Ascendancy, his long silver tendrils curling in distrust. They claim to fight for us, yet they use words of death. This is arrogance, or desperation, replied Elder Coria of the Selnari. Her wide, glassy eyes blinked slowly. Perhaps their soldiers are few, and they must name them boldly to hide their weakness. Only the military observers remained thoughtful. They had studied humans more closely than the politicians. They knew Earth had a long history of war, born not from survival against beasts or cold planets, but from themselves. Humans had fought humans for thousands of years, perfecting not just weapons but strategy, psychology, and adaptation. To these observers, the word executioners sounded less like arrogance and more like warning. When the human ships arrived, the council prepared a ceremony of welcome. They expected a parade of soldiers, polished and eager to prove themselves before the elder races. What they saw instead unsettled them. The executioners did not march in bright armor or gleaming banners. Their ships were black, without insignias. Their soldiers wore armor designed for function, not display. Their faces were hidden behind helmets with no expression, no warmth. Each soldier moved with perfect discipline. Their boots struck metal floors in the same second as if they shared one mind. Their silence was louder than any anthem. An alien observer whispered, "They do not look like soldiers." "No," another replied nervously. "They look like hunters." General Marcus Kane led them. He was an older human, his face marked with age, his eyes sharp and unreadable. Unlike his soldiers, he wore no helmet. He wanted the council to see his face. When he spoke, his voice was calm, controlled, as if he were giving an order that could not be questioned. "We are here to do what others cannot," Kane said. "You asked for soldiers. Humanity does not send soldiers. We send executioners. We do not hold the line. We do not fight to survive. We fight to end." His words echoed through the chamber. Some aliens recoiled in disgust. Others stared in silence. Counselor Vithari snapped, "You presume much, human. You think you can end what we have fought for centuries." Kane's gaze did not waver. Yes. The arrogance in that single word enraged some but unsettled others more deeply. For Kane did not sound like a braggart. He sounded like a man stating fact. Later, in private, the alien generals gathered to discuss the humans. "They are reckless," one declared. We cannot waste resources on these predators. Let them die on the outer fronts if they wish. But Admiral Thren, a grizzled commander of the Virathi fleets, shook his head. Do not underestimate them. I have read their histories. When humans fight, they do not stop. They fight until the enemy is broken, sometimes until themselves are broken. I do not know if they will win, but they will not yield. The room fell silent at that. For in this war, more than anything, what the galaxy lacked was not weapons, not ships, but will. And will was something the humans seemed to carry in abundance. The executioner's first assignment came quickly. A border world had already been half devoured by the Karath. Entire alien battalions had been shattered there. The planet was lost, but the Council wanted to test humanity before trusting them with more. Send them to Talosphore, the order came. If they hold even a week, it will be more than the others managed. So the humans prepared to deploy. Their ships dropped from orbit silently, without fanfare, without speeches. Alien officers watched from orbit, waiting for the human force to scatter like so many before them. They expected fear. They expected hesitation. Instead, they saw humans landing in precise formation. They saw them establish kill zones, lay traps, and prepare choke points in the ruined cities. They moved like predators setting an ambush. One alien commander muttered in disbelief, "They are not fortifying for survival. They are preparing for slaughter." When the swarm came, it came like a storm. The ground shook with their numbers. Skies filled with wings. The Karath poured across the ruins, endless, mindless, overwhelming. And then the executioners began their work. The first wave died in fire and steel. Mines hidden beneath rubble tore apart entire clusters. Snipers struck not at random but with uncanny precision, cutting down leaders and controllers. When the swarm tried to flank, humans collapsed entire buildings, trapping thousands in debris. When the swarm tried to overwhelm the walls, humans opened kill boxes and funneled them into narrow streets where heavy guns awaited. To the aliens watching, it was not a battle. It was butchery. For 3 days the humans fought without rest. When their ammunition ran low, they used knives, traps, even bare hands. When the swarm adapted, the humans adapted faster. On the 4th day, silence fell over Talosphore. Smoke rose from the ruins. Bodies of the Karath carpeted the ground, and at the center the humans still stood. The report sent back to the Council was simple. Talosphore held. The swarm has been broken. Casualties, acceptable. The Council chamber erupted with debate. Some shouted that it was impossible. Some accused the humans of lies. Others whispered in fear, but Admiral Thren only leaned back, his eyes grim. They asked for soldiers, he murmured. Humanity has sent something else entirely. The galaxy had expected humans to die on Talosphore. That world was a graveyard of armies, a cursed land that devoured every soldier who dared to stand upon its soil. But the executioners had not only survived, they had turned the battlefield into a slaughterhouse. Now the alien commanders could no longer ignore them. The reports of Talosphore spread across fleets and governments. The numbers were clear. Where other armies lasted hours, the humans held for days. Where other forces were broken, the humans had broken the swarm instead. Yet the Council was not ready to trust them fully. They are too brutal, Councillor Vithari argued in the chamber. Their methods are not civilized. They kill without honor, without restraint. We cannot build a future on such barbarity. But can we build a future on extinction? Admiral Thren replied coldly. His voice carried the weight of many lost fleets. Honor does not stop the swarm. Weapons do not stop the swarm. We need something else. Perhaps humanity is that something. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. No one wanted to admit it, but the humans had done what none of them could. So the Council made a choice. Humanity would be tested again, but this time not on a dying world. This time they would fight where it mattered. The assignment. The planet Arian Prime was not yet lost, but it was close. Once a shining colony of the Selnari people, it had been a jewel of gardens and rivers. Now the Karath swarmed across its continents. Only one great city remained, surrounded by walls and defended by the last of the Selnari legions. The Selnari had begged for help. Their legions were brave but few. Every day the swarm pushed closer. Every night more walls cracked. The Council sent the humans. The announcement shocked the Selnari. Elder Coria herself objected. You send predators into our sanctuary? She demanded. Our people are not like yours. We value life. We respect peace. To unleash these hunters upon our home is to poison it. But the decision stood, and soon, the black human ships descended over Aryan Prime. First impressions, the Selnari soldiers watched from the walls as the humans marched into their city. The executioners were silent as ever, their armor dull, their helmets cold. They carried no banners, no songs, only weapons. To the Selnari they looked less like allies and more like shadows given form. General Marcus Kane walked at the front, his eyes scanning every detail of the city. He did not speak until he reached the command hall, where Elder Choria and the Selnari generals awaited. "You are outnumbered 5-1, Kane said without ceremony. "Your walls will fall within 3 days if you continue as you are." The Selnari general stiffened at the blunt words. "We have held this long. We will not abandon our honor by hiding behind—" "Honor does not win wars," Kane interrupted flatly. "Survival does. Victory does. We are not here to preserve pride. We are here to kill the enemy. If you wish to live, you will follow our lead." The room fell into tense silence. Elder Choria trembled with anger, but she also saw the exhaustion in her people's eyes. They had fought for weeks. They were near collapse, and though she disliked the humans, she could not deny the truth in Kane's words. "Very well," she said softly. "Show us your way." Preparing the trap, the executioners wasted no time. While the Selnari favored open defense lines and shining formations, the humans saw only weaknesses. They reshaped the city into a hunting ground. Streets were blocked with barricades, forcing the swarm into narrow paths. Bridges were rigged with charges. Buildings were hollowed into sniper nests. The Selnari soldiers watched in unease. To them it felt like desecration of their beautiful city. Gardens were turned into minefields. Sacred halls became ambush points. "Do you not care for beauty?" one young Selnari soldier asked a human. The human only replied, "Beauty is what we save after the war." The words lingered. The battle begins, the swarm came at dawn. Black skies filled with wings. The ground shook with endless legs. The walls of Aryan Prime trembled under the weight of claws. The Selnari raised their banners, preparing for the noble stand they had always fought. But before they could charge, the humans gave the order. "Hold," Kane commanded through the comms. The swarm crashed against the outer walls. The walls fell within hours, just as Kane had predicted. But instead of despair, the humans smiled behind their helmets. Because now the swarm was inside the trap. The slaughterhouse. The first wave poured into the narrow streets and was torn apart by mines. The second wave tried to climb the buildings, only to be cut down by snipers. The third wave rushed across the main bridge until it exploded, sending thousands into the river below. Every step the swarm took was punished. Every path led into fire. The Selnari soldiers fought beside the humans, but they had never seen war like this. The executioners moved with ruthless precision, predicting every move of the swarm, striking where it hurt most. At one point, the swarm breached a gate and poured into the central square. The Selnari panicked, believing the city lost, but the humans were already waiting. Kane gave the order and entire buildings collapsed inward, burying thousands of the enemy beneath rubble. It was not defense. It was execution. Shock and awe by nightfall, the swarm pulled back, leaving mountains of their own dead behind. For the first time in weeks, Aryan Prime had not lost ground. It had gained it. The Selnari soldiers looked at the humans with new eyes. They were not just brutal. They were effective. Elder Choria herself stood on the wall, gazing at the smoking battlefield. She whispered, almost to herself, "They fight like they were born for this." General Kane, standing beside her, answered simply, "We were." Alien doubts. Still, not all were convinced. In the council chamber, far from the battlefield, debate raged. "They kill too freely," Vithari insisted. "They destroy cities to save them. They will leave nothing but ashes." "But the ashes are standing," Admiral Thren countered. "Would you prefer nothing at all?" The council could not agree. But every passing day more reports came. More victories, small but real, wherever the executioners fought. The galaxy began to whisper. Perhaps the humans were the answer after all. The turning point of Aryan Primon. The third day of the defense. The swarm returned in greater force. This time they did not strike blindly. They had learned. The hive sent massive beasts to crush the barricades. Flyers swooped low to target snipers. Underground burrowers surfaced behind defenses. For the first time, the humans were pressed hard. The city shook with battle. The Selnari watched in terror, believing even the executioners would fall. But Kane was already adapting. Orders flew across the comms, shifting squads like pieces on a board. Ambushes were abandoned, new traps laid in seconds. Where the swarm adapted, the humans adapted faster. At the height of the battle, when the swarm nearly broke through to the command hall, Kane himself led the counterattack. He fought at the front, his rifle barking, his presence steadying all who followed. "Forward," he commanded, and the executioners surged like wolves through prey. By dusk, the swarm was broken again. Their numbers were endless, but their will to press this city had cracked. For the first time, the hive pulled back not from defeat, but from doubt. Aftermath: when the fires died, the city still stood. The Selnari legions, once broken and weary, now looked upon the humans with awe. One young Selnari soldier approached Kane, trembling. "How do you fight like this? How do you never break?" Kane regarded him quietly, then answered, "Because for us, war is not survival. It is duty, and duty does not end until the enemy is gone." The words spread like fire among the Selnari ranks. For the first time, hope returned to Aryan Prime. The message, the report sent to the council, was short, as always. Aryan Prime holds. Enemy losses catastrophic, civilian survival secured, but this time the council could not deny the truth. The humans had not only defended the city, they had turned the war there. And across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. They asked for soldiers. But humans are something else. For centuries, the galaxy had fought the swarm with tradition, with honor, and with slow strategies that crumbled against endless numbers. But in just a few days, the humans had shown something new. They had not only survived, they had taken control of the battlefield. The Selnari still looked at their ruined gardens and broken temples with grief, but behind their sadness, there was something else. Hope. For the first time in many years, they believed the swarm could be stopped, and it was all because of the executioners. Uneasy allies when the council heard the reports. The chamber was divided. Councillor Vithari of the Luthari still raged. "They are animals. Look at what they did to Aryan Prime. Gardens burned, homes destroyed, temples crushed into rubble. This is not victory, it is desecration." But Admiral Thren countered, his voice calm but firm. "And yet the city still stands. The people live. Would you rather the temples remain untouched, while the citizens lie in the bellies of the swarm?" Even Elder Korea of the Selnari, who had once doubted the humans most, now spoke differently. "Our people live because of them. Their methods wound our pride, yes, but our pride would not have saved us." The debate went on for hours, but one truth stood clear. The humans had done what others could not. And soon, whispers spread across fleets and colonies alike. Perhaps the tide of war was turning. The lesson of adaptation: after Aryan Prime, General Marcus Kane did something unexpected. Instead of returning to his ships, he began to train alien soldiers. It started with the Selnari. Their legions had fought bravely, but with rigid formations that broke against the swarm. Kane gathered them in the ruined city square and spoke to them without softness. "You fight with courage," he said, his voice steady. "But courage without strategy is only sacrifice. We are not here to die bravely. We are here to make the enemy die." The Selnari bristled at his bluntness, but they listened. And then Kane showed them. He split their units into small squads, teaching them to move quickly, to strike and vanish, to fight in shadows rather than open lines. He showed them how to use terrain, how to bait the enemy, how to trap instead of block. At first, the Selnari resisted. "This is dishonorable," one officer complained. Kane's reply was sharp. "Tell me, soldier, did honor save your family when the swarm came? Did honor stop them from burning your cities? No, what saves you is victory. What saves you is living to see tomorrow." The words were harsh, but they sank deep. Slowly, the Selnari changed. And once they did, they began to win. Shock across the galaxy, the council soon received reports that stunned them. On a frontier moon, a mixed unit of humans and Selnari used ambush tactics to destroy 3 times their number of swarm creatures. On a mining colony, small squads used feigned retreats to lure enemies into narrow tunnels where explosives ended them in seconds. On a jungle world, alien soldiers learned to fight like hunters, cutting down the swarm from the shadows of the trees. Everywhere the humans went, the rules of war changed. Other species began to send observers. At first they only watched, then reluctantly they asked to learn. And so the executioners became more than fighters. They became teachers. Resistance to change, not everyone welcomed the human way. The Veyrathi, a proud warrior race, despised it. To them combat was sacred. They fought in bright armor, singing war chants, facing the enemy openly. When Cain tried to train them, their commander laughed. We are not cowards who hide in shadows. We fight with strength, with honor, with the eyes of our ancestors upon us. Cain's eyes were cold as stone. Then your ancestors will be watching as you die, because the swarm does not care for your songs. They do not respect your courage. They only consume. The word stung, but the Veyrathi refused to change until they saw the cost. One of their legions faced the swarm in open formation and was nearly wiped out. Only when humans pulled survivors from the battlefield did they understand. After that, even the Veyrathi listened. A reputation of fear. As the humans spread their lessons, so too did their reputation. To allies they were saviors, ruthless but effective. To the swarm they became something else. The hive mind had faced thousands of species before. It had devoured countless armies. But humanity fought differently. The executioners did not just kill. They broke patterns. They struck where the swarm was blind. They made the hive uncertain, and for the first time in its long existence, the swarm began to hesitate. On more than one battlefield, drones paused before charging. Some broke off too soon, retreating before traps even sprung. It was as if the hive itself felt fear. Alien soldiers noticed. They whispered, "The swarm fears them." The humans make even the hive afraid, and in those whispers, morale returned to species who had nearly lost all hope. A council divided, still. The political debate grew sharper. Councillor Vithari pressed harder than ever. Do you not see the danger? Yes, they fight the swarm. But what happens after? What happens when their war is finished? Do you believe predators like these will simply return home? Or will they turn their cold eyes upon us? Elder Korea, once his ally, now opposed him. You are blind, Vithari. Without them, we would already be ashes. Whatever comes after, we will face it then. For now, humanity is not our doom. Humanity is our shield. And Admiral Thren, the old warlord, gave the final word. We asked for soldiers. We received executioners. And if you fear them, then perhaps it is because deep down you know they are exactly what we needed. The hive adapts. The swarm, however, was not beaten yet. The hive mind began to shift its tactics. On the desert world of Kalros, it sent burrowing beasts that attacked from beneath the sand. On the ice moon of Vera, it unleashed endless waves of flyers to strike from above. On the fortress world of Dren, it coordinated attacks from 3 directions at once. The hive learned. But so did the humans. When the swarm tunneled, the humans collapsed the ground with explosives, burying entire columns alive. When flyers swarmed, the humans lured them into storm clouds, where lightning and anti-air guns shredded them. When the hive attacked on 3 fronts, the humans feigned weakness on one, then encircled the attackers and destroyed them utterly. The executioners thrived on adaptation. And the more the hive learned, the faster the humans turned its lessons against it. A changed galaxy months passed, and everywhere the humans fought, the war shifted. The swarm still numbered in the billions. Still seemed endless, but now it was bleeding. For the first time in living memory, it was losing worlds instead of gaining them. And across the galaxy, species who once despaired began to stand tall again. They had seen a new way of war, and they were learning it. The humans were no longer outsiders. They were leaders. But this rise brought unease as well. One night, in a council chamber lit only by the stars, Elder Korea asked Cain a quiet question. Tell me, human, what drives you? Why do you fight with such fire, such relentless fury? Is it only to save the galaxy? Cain's gaze was steady, unreadable. No, we fight because it is in us. We fight because if we do not, someone else will end us. And we will never allow that. Not from the swarm. Not from anyone. His words lingered in her mind long after, for they carried both comfort and warning. The turning point. The galaxy realized the war had entered a new phase when the swarm suffered its greatest defeat yet. On the volcanic world of Draven's Hold, a combined army of humans, Selnari, and even reluctant Veyrathi faced a swarm twice their size. By all logic, they should have been crushed. Instead, the humans devised a plan that no alien commander would have dared. They lured the swarm into the lava fields. They collapsed cliffs, diverted molten rivers, and turned the planet itself into a weapon. Entire swarms were drowned in fire. When the battle ended, the Hive had lost more in a single day than in a decade of war. The galaxy roared with hope. For the first time, victory seemed possible, and the swarm itself recoiled, retreating deeper into its space. A new fear, but as cheers echoed across the stars, some voices trembled. "They do not fight like us," whispered one counselor. "They do not think like us. If they can defeat the swarm, what then?" For the galaxy was beginning to understand something else. The executioners did not just fight wars, they ended them. After months of relentless battles, after endless lessons in terror and strategy, the swarm had retreated to the heart of its territory. Deep within the dark nebula of Vorath, a planet churned with heat, ash, and the ceaseless hum of the Hive. This was the Karath's central world, the source of its mind, its soldiers, its endless hunger. Every species, from the smallest mining colony to the oldest star empire, understood one truth: this would be the last battle. If the Hive survived, all hope would die. If it fell, the galaxy might finally see peace, and humanity led the way. The fleet assembles. The human armada was unlike any the galaxy had seen. Ships black as void, bristling with weapons, moved silently through the nebula. Beside them flew vessels of every allied race: Selnari gliders, Veyrathi dreadnoughts, Luthari battle cruisers. Yet all eyes were on the humans. They were not the largest force. They were not the most technologically advanced. But every alien commander knew what the humans could do, and feared it. General Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the flagship Executioner. Around him, the command room buzzed with anticipation. His soldiers were quiet, but their calm was not fear, it was focus. Every human knew their role, every step, every calculation. Kane addressed them simply. "Today we finish what we started. The swarm has eaten worlds, enslaved populations, and killed billions. We will end it. We will strike at its heart, and we will not stop until it is gone. Understand this. The galaxy survives because we do not fail." No one doubted him. The human ships descended first, piercing the thick atmosphere of the Hive planet. Lava rivers glowed beneath jagged mountains. The air itself was thick, buzzing with the energy of the swarm. Massive structures, organic and alien, rose from the ground. Walls, towers, nests of the Hive creatures. The aliens followed, more cautiously. The humans had already surveyed the planet with drones and scouts. Every approach had been mapped. Every trap calculated. Kane's voice came over comms. "Remember what you've learned. Terrain, ambush, precision. Move like hunters. Strike like executioners. No hesitation. No mercy." Even alien soldiers, long, proud, and stubborn, fell silent. They understood. First contact. The swarm struck before the Allied fleets could fully land. Massive wings darkened the skies. Burrowing beasts erupted from the ground. The air was torn by screeches and the clash of metal against chitin, but the humans were ready. Mines detonated before the swarm could advance. Turrets unleashed torrents of fire. Snipers and sharpshooters struck from cliffs, bridges, and tunnels. The aliens followed the humans' lead. Formations broke, reformed, and vanished, leaving the swarm unsure of what to attack. Every attack, every retreat, every trap was a lesson in efficiency, ruthlessness, and strategy. The executioners had made allies into predators, and the swarm felt it. Into the Hive, Kane led a strike team into the heart of the Hive. The terrain became darker, the air thicker. Organic tunnels pulsed with the Hive's energy. Everywhere, creatures crawled, swarmed, and struck with mindless fury. Yet the humans advanced, precise, calm, and deadly. They moved as one. Every squad had a role. Every movement anticipated the swarm's reaction. When a swarm of massive warriors attacked, humans split, lured them into a trap, and collapsed the ceiling. When aerial swarms descended, humans ignited gas vents and struck from above, turning the environment itself into a weapon. One Selnari officer, watching from a distance, whispered in awe, "They do not fight like soldiers. They fight like gods of war." Facing the queen finally, they reached the central chamber. The ground shook with every movement of the Hive's queen, a massive creature pulsing with raw energy and commanding the swarm. Its mind extended across the planet, every creature under its control. The aliens hesitated. None had ever faced such a being. But Kane stepped forward. "The galaxy depends on us," he said. "We end this today." The executioners struck as one. The battle was chaotic, brutal, and precise. The Queen lashed with massive limbs, released swarms of defenders, and tried to crush the intruders. But humans adapted instantly, splitting into multiple strike teams, drawing away defenders, collapsing tunnels, and striking from unexpected angles. Kane's squad reached the Queen. Explosives, plasma blades, and coordinated fire struck simultaneously. The Queen fought back, but the humans anticipated every move. Every attack was countered. Every defense was broken. Finally, with a concentrated strike, the Queen fell. Its mind faltered, the connection to the swarm severed. The creatures stopped moving, confused and leaderless. The hive was broken. Aftermath of the battle. When the dust settled, the Allied forces surveyed the battlefield. Millions of swarm bodies littered the land. The Queen's chambers were silent. The planet's energy pulsed faintly, but the oppressive darkness was gone. The aliens looked at the humans with awe, respect, and fear. General Kane addressed the survivors, both human and alien. "Victory does not belong to one species. It belongs to all who fought. Remember this day. Remember what humans taught you. And remember this: the galaxy survives because we do not fail." Even the Veirathi, proud and stubborn, bowed their heads. For the first time, they understood that honor alone does not win wars. The Galaxy Awakens news of the victory spread across the galaxy. Worlds cheered. Hope returned to places that had only known despair. The Selnari rebuilt, learning the human methods that had saved them. The Veirathi trained in ambush and adaptation. Even the Luthari studied human strategy, reluctantly admitting its effectiveness. Humans did not claim glory. They did not celebrate with speeches or banners. They returned to their ships, ready for the next fight if needed. Their presence was a quiet reminder that the galaxy had been saved by creatures who refused to die, who adapted to any challenge, and who finished wars no one else could. The galaxy whispered their name: executioners. The warning, even, as celebrations spread, a subtle unease remained. Humans had saved the galaxy, but they had done so on their own terms. They had rewritten the rules of war. They had taught species to fight without hesitation, without mercy, and without fear. Some whispered privately in council chambers, "What happens when humans decide the swarm is not enough? What happens if they turn their focus elsewhere?" But the humans only responded with silence. Their eyes were calm, unreadable. Their actions spoke louder than words. When the galaxy is threatened, humanity rises. When others falter, humanity acts. And once humanity decides to act, it does not stop. For the executioners, mercy was given only to those who deserved it, and no enemy deserved it more than the Karath. The legacy generations later, the events of the Hive planet would be remembered as the moment humanity proved itself, not as a young, fragile species from a small blue planet, but as the guardians of the galaxy. The humans did not seek power, wealth, or glory. They fought because they had to, because they could, and because survival demanded excellence. Every alien race that survived the swarm knew the truth. When the galaxy asked for soldiers, humans did not just answer. They delivered something the galaxy had never seen before. They delivered executioners. And in that moment, the galaxy understood something fundamental. Humans were not like the others. They were stronger, faster, cleverer, and relentless. They did not just fight wars, they ended them. And that was why the galaxy would never forget them.